We'll open the August 6th meeting of the Selectmen. Open session public meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. Do we have minutes all?
One set.
Is this, or I
This
didn't-
is fun.
is this from the notes you took?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you
Prettied them
formatted
up.
it like you.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to hold on that?
Can we hold on them?
Yeah.
Only because I didn't get a chance to look at them over again
Yep.
before today. All righty. And is
That's
that
it.
the only meeting?
No,
minute?
she had executive session that was in an email that I didn't format yet.
Okay, okay, then we can do those both.
I also owe you the 23rd, and then
Yes.
there's the executive session from the ZBA. Which
Right,
you're gonna
that
use
we're waiting.
when they come.
We're waiting for Leanne. I believe Amy looks those over
Yep.
before.
So
and-
that'll all be for the next meeting.
Okay. So, we're moving on to appointments. Jane Sawyer has offered to be on the Personnel Committee. And Thomas Bradley.
So just in
Motion.
order of who came in, I put them in staggered order. So the first one was Clear Pond with a 3-year term, and then,
Right.
okay.
Okay, so do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve Tom
Second.
and Jane.
Second.
Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. There you go. And we have Jessica Meltzer, who has offered to be on the Cultural Council. I know there was emails going back and forth between those Cultural Council members
Mhm.
and yourself. Is there an issue with just going by what the state
I guess the
says?
town just never has gone by what the state
Right.
recommends, but there's no reason why you can't add another person, because you can go up
Right.
to 22 people. So even if those other people were able to hang on longer, this would just be adding a 6th person, which is
Okay.
allowed.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
really, whoever they want on.
And they recommend, and they do want that person.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She should be good, too.
Yeah. Motion to approve Jessica Meltzer to Cultural Council.
Seconded.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a reserve fund transfer, a tax collector audit report.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay. Wait a minute, we've got to sign a few things here first. Is there
Tom.
2 of them?
There should be 3
Oh, here's
appointment
one.
letters.
Here's one. Get ahead of myself.
One.
Okay. And this one is Jessica Meltzer.
Two. And done.
Thank you. All right, and the reserve fund transfer is to pay for the audit expenses when we changed from one tax collector to the other. And the $3,000 for the total town audit is already budgeted, correct?
30,
30.
Yes, the 30, but the 5,000 was not.
correct.
So do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay, anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Clerk. Clerk. In June we trust.
Did you not put rail trail on?
No,
Because we had rail trail for tonight.
it's not on the agenda.
It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
On
we
the
had told
agenda.
them.
Oh, but that's.
It was a confirmed thing.
Do you-
You probably still talk about it. It's just
Yeah.
updating on the preliminary report and finalizing
Right.
it.
Here you go, ma'am.
I wasn't sure if we were waiting to hear from you.
Well, we sent you our
Yeah.
report, so you're hoping
Yes.
you'd read it. Not to the, yeah, okay.
Well, I think we're good here. would you prefer to give us give the audience and so on an overview? Or would you prefer to have another meeting date? I wasn't prepared because I was unsure whether you were available.
We had confirmed.
You did have a date, but then I thought it was a little bit up in the air about surgery recovery time. Not
Yeah,
for
my
yourself.
apology, I thought it was all confirmed
Yeah,
for tonight.
we thought it was as well.
I knew when I was 3 weeks out, it wouldn't be any problem to get in here, so, past experience. So we could do that little executive summary, we could walk through that piece.
And maybe
That would be
schedule
great.
another when you've had an
Yes.
opportunity to read the report.
Yes, to look it over a little more carefully because,
It's dense.
yeah,
It's a lot to it.
I like to do it the day of or the day before, and then it's a
Yeah.
little more fresh in my mind.
Well,
No, I thought you guys, I looked at it, I thought you guys did a lot of work, and it was a very impressive document.
this committee's pretty, the people to my left are pretty impressive and all that. Yeah, and I do think the report is about as final as we're gonna get. You know, I read it again today, and it's like, oh yeah, but then you see all the typos, that come out and that sort of thing, but substantively, I think we're
Yeah.
where we wanna be, and I think the public has had a pretty good chance to give us input, and then we were able to find, with the exception of confirming a couple of questions with town council, which I was not able to put together. Couldn't get access to do that, so those are the only questions that are still out there for me that we might want to close out in this report, and they're pretty minor, it's like 20 minutes with council probably to, give an advance. Well, actually, I don't know if council ever saw it, but town council, but the questions are written down.
I haven't heard back from them. If
I don't think it was sent to them.
No, I think-
Possibly not.
Was this the attractive nuisance
Yeah.
piece?
Yeah. But you
Yeah.
gotta drill down. It isn't the statutory things which are clear and they're in the lease and so on, but it's a little deeper. Question that came up from abutters.
well, I know you interviewed an awful lot of people so I heard.
Well, that and this is also, I knew it was a contentious issue. I didn't realize how contentious. And on Facebook in particular, on the town website, there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so I think the report in its intent was to bring clarity to some of the basic questions. What is really involved in building a rail trail? Volunteers cannot build it. DCR has confirmed that. You have to follow horizontal construction law. So that means prevailing wage, all the bonds, all the insurance, etc. And volunteers can maintain it. So there were things like that actually writing the report affirmed a lot of what I had already had researched or knew about. But I think it will help people in town to truly understand what does it take to actually build a rail trail.
So, there's a section in this report towards the front that has recommendations. There's a section at the back. There's an appendix that has the frequently asked questions, which I think maybe, Lisa, you posted after we had a lot of Facebook. Somebody posted it.
Lisa did it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's pieces of it, if you wanted the cliff notes of the report, that's a good place to go, to the frequently asked questions. That's at the
I did read
appendix.
those.
And then our summary recommendations are on page 6 of this draft. And so just to sum it up, and then when the board has had a chance to go through it and see if you want to dig into any of this and question us, we'll come back, right? So at this time, we're recommending that Berlin does not take any action to develop the Berlin section of the proposed Mass Central Rail Trail. So we might want to revisit that development option if the towns to the east, in particular Hudson and Bolton and Sudbury, commit funds to actual design, the 25% funding for design. we might want to revisit that question. But at the moment, for us, we are literally at the end of the line, and we're looking at a 2.3-mile linear park that kind of goes nowhere and has there's issues with parking and those kinds of things. So that, it's not saying slam the door on this thing, it's saying it doesn't make sense right now. But there's been a lot of public interest in opportunities for passive recreation. Everybody loves rail trails, a lot of conversation around that. And as we talk to people in the town, recreation committee, conservation, and so on, this, I guess we've now decided we're going to do it at South Commons, that trail, because then you have a round trail, or a circular trail with parking with the right kind of facilities, and it would serve the population that a rail trail serves, in the sense of you could do it in a wheelchair or a baby carriage, that kind of thing, small children. So that's one of the attractive things about rail trail, is it has access for people that can't go climb some of our conservation lands, can't go climb around the rocks. But we can, the one that I think is more, that in our analysis ended up being much less money and more immediate for us, is to put that, to install that. And so I guess we're on our way to doing that. The South Commons paved path. The other recommendation is our existing conservation, passive recreation, better signage, parking, trail markers, that sort of thing, so the public has better access to it and is more aware, raising awareness that these things are, these resources are here in town and available to people to use. Installing sidewalks and bike lanes in conjunction with complete streets.
Mm-hmm.
That's another passive recreation opportunity we have. That, and then the other thing that came up, because we were in connection regionally a bit about rail trail and passive recreation. So there are some people that are looking at development along the Boston-Worcester Air Line Trail to put in a multi-use trail, and would go from Framingham to Worcester, and then there would be side spurs to some of the towns. So it would be south of Berlin, but we would potentially have a spur going down the aqueduct to connect to this thing. And one of the nice things that it would do is that it would then take you around the southern end of Wachusett Reservoir, so that you could then go connect to the Central Mass Rail Trail that runs from Oakdale through into Holden. And so that kind of fits the master vision that the DCR people have, which is they want a greenway from east to west across the state. So it seems like it's a better option, if we were going to get involved as a town, to look at that, participating in that and connecting to that, as opposed to the Wayside Branch. So that was that's the summary recommendation. So with that in mind, when you have a chance to read and bring us back. I don't know, Tom, Sue, anything else that you think would be useful?
I have another reason to wait until the other towns connect, because in order to build it, the rule of thumb, they say, is $1 million a mile to build a rail trail.
$1 million a mile.
But Sue actually had the opportunity to speak to the compliance officer for MassDOT, who's been involved with all rail trails, and she said,
And she told us that we're talking more like $3 to $4 million a mile. Depends on road crossings and structures. And Berlin's gonna have definitely 5 road crossings, and the structure, Walnut Street's gonna have to be all decking.
because of the flooding.
Because of the flooding, so you're actually gonna have to build decking in there.
The railroad was built, they went through bedrock and down, so it's down below grade. So when you go up the hill on Walnut Street, the rail is flat through there. And the rock is full of springs.
And it's almost impassable at this point because of the overgrowth and the
It is impassable.
Well, it is. The rails, the beds, the ties have actually eroded.
It's all
No
underwater.
kidding.
The rail's
So it's
underwater. And somebody who's been around town for a while told us that there used to be culverts that were cleaned out when the railroad was actually operating, but nothing's been done in, how many years is that,
Yes.
Tommy?
Oh, God.
Decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she also, the woman from DOT also said that because there is an issue with parking, to find a real spot that can be ADA compliant for accessibility. We're gonna be talking sidewalks, probably in a place that Complete Streets isn't looking at, so additional sidewalks for this project.
And she also stated, because you had talked to her about the funding, going for grants, et cetera, because MassDOT is part of that. If you're going for state or federal funding, then you also are taking on whatever regulations or requirements they have that's attached to the funds. And every rail trail in the state has gone through some type of state or fed funding. And if we try to build our section before other towns, our chances of getting those grant monies diminish. Because they look at what are the other connecting towns, because it's meant to be a corridor, not just a linear 2.3 mile road. Because we're talking 10 feet wide, 2 feet shoulder on either side. And another question that has come up is equestrian. And the trail cannot handle the equestrian because you would need an additional 6-foot path. And there's sections where you're 15 feet up or 30 feet up in some areas. And there's just not enough clearance. You'd actually have to grade the bed all the way down in order to accommodate that.
As an equestrian, I would not take my horses on with bikes and strollers, and that's
No,
okay,
yeah.
thank
And
you.
not on hot top.
I said the same thing.
nothing, yeah.
Bikes are scared of horses.
So the DCR has contemplated all this in their requirements, or MBTA requirements, is there has to be a separate path if they're gonna do equestrian. And so everybody else goes on the trail. So if you look at the towns of Wayland and Weston, and there's a lot of horse activity in those towns, because they've already got the power lines, the high intensity power lines running through there, they've got the 100 feet easements clear cut. It's like, just imagine a high power line running up and down a hill or something, in that kind of clearance. That's what you see. You see the big towers with the wires going, and I've walked the western piece of this. So there's plenty of room there and plenty of clearance to have people with their horses go parallel to the path where the bikes would be and the dogs and everything else. But the condition of the Wayside Branch as it goes from Berlin wouldn't permit that double path. And the bridle path doesn't have to be improved, it can just be, but MBTA DCR wants it separate. They don't want the horses to mix for obvious reasons. And then Berlin has some unique things like hunting, and that could probably be accommodated, but basically DCR doesn't allow hunting in its parks, and this would be a DCR park. Other considerations, MBTA's ownership ends at Coburn Road. So if you had any thoughts of going out to the reservoir or going through westerly in that direction, it's a whole separate matter with the owner, Pan Am, the owner of that abandoned rail that goes west from Coburn.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why we kind of say, well, it's a linear park that starts and ends at the Hudson border and Coburn Road. Best case description of what we could do today.
Does Hudson or Bolton have any vision of doing anything in the future, near
you talked
future?
to Bolton.
Bolton said definitely no.
Okay,
Hudson is they have a citizens group now just starting to look into the process. The gentleman came to one of our last meetings. So the town right now is working again with Eversource, which a couple of the towns are. And that would just go to the Hudson Power and Light, that building, and it would
Okay.
stop there.
Bolton's section is only 100 feet.
But
It would
it's
be
all
about
wetlands.
70,000.
oh, really?
Is just DCR's estimation.
It's like a
Mhm.
divot, in the.
But
Yeah.
it is wetlands, so it would probably cost more, so that's why Bolton's saying no. But DCR was saying that if Berlin and Hudson were moving forward, they would look to finding the funds to do that 100-foot section.
Okay,
But the people in Hudson, they already have the Assabet River Rail Trail.
right.
And because of the ongoing issue with Eversource, which is tying up the right-of-way for the abandoned bed going into Sudbury in Hudson, they didn't see even addressing their portion of the rail trail for years. The citizens group is looking to possibly, they approached us about building Berlin into, somehow connecting into the Assabet River Trail. But there's still a lot that still has to be looked at. Design issues, the actual cost, because if you look at that Hudson section, from the Bolton line in, you have that industrial firm that actually has taken over that there's no bed left.
The state, yeah,
Yeah, I
they
mean,
took half of it.
so what would actually have to happen to actually build that would be an interesting engineering exercise and design.
There's a theme here around Eversource, because in order to do any of this, DCR doesn't have money, you know, it's gotta be raised by the local, the towns and cities, and with assistance from DCR, so, or other parties. So Eversource wants to harden and make more accessible its main power lines coming in, and so this is a matter of controversy now in Hudson and Sudbury.
Sudbury.
Because people don't want that clear cut with the high tension lines looking, running through the middle of all of this. And that's not what we think of when we think of a rail trail, right? So there's controversy and opposition in those towns. And so the idea that somebody would get to 25% design phase anytime soon is pretty slim with that going on. Whereas in Weston and Wayland, those lines were installed in the 50s by Boston Electric. So everybody in town is used to them. And then Eversource is just paying for the development in those places because they want good road access. They want agricultural grade road access, and the rail trail is a little segment on top of the Eversource road, which is all on the abandoned rail bed. So it's again, it's the timing for Berlin is
Not
makes no
now.
sense.
And just to clarify, because we keep on throwing out 25% design, there's 2 design phases to a rail trail when dealing with the DCR and the MBTA. There's a 25% design, and that's where your engineers go in. They're talking about what permits you're going to need, wetlands, et cetera. What are the design consideration, your basic design costs, et cetera. And then that goes to the DCR, the MBTA, and the Massachusetts, I'm blanking on it, the Architectural Board
Oh,
for,
The access board.
Access Board, for their approval and their input. So that usually takes 2 to 3 years,
Yeah.
going through that. And then once they do the 25% design, then you go on to the 100% design. So that's your final cost. That's when you start your funding, going for your grants, et cetera. All your permitting has to be in place by then. You've got to do all your surveys, et cetera. The Bruce Freeman Trail in Shrewsbury, they started in the late 80s, and they're just finishing their 25% design now.
Ooh.
See, that was gonna be my question. If everyone said, we're in, let's go, I found a bag full of money, how long would it, I'd like to find a bag full of money, how long would it take?
DOT says 5 to 10 years from start
To finish.
to finish. And she's done so many rail trails that she was
And
a
once you
great
start, you
resource.
really have to keep going, because what's the point?
And that's the problem, is you start, you pay your design fees, and then apply for your grants afterwards. So what happens if Berlin applies for
Doesn't
$1
get
million
it.
and then only gets 50,000, then we're kind of,
Yeah.
Stuck.
They
And-
said it wasn't guaranteed
Yeah.
funding.
And the state and federal, they expect the towns to pick up the cost of design, which is 10 to 20% of your overall construction costs is the benchmark that they use. So if it's 2.3 miles and you do the $1 million mark, then you're like 230 to 460,000 the town would have to pick up for the design costs. But if you go to the higher end, which MassDOT, then you're talking significantly more. So
Well, it sounds like a lot of dominoes would have to fall in place for us to do this, like, now.
And one of the things
Mhm.
that MassDOT strongly recommended, if the town did pull the trigger, you need a full-time person managing it. You have so many contractors, so many contracts, and, the grants that you have to go, and it's not just 1 or 2 grants, you're going after multiple grants.
Mm-hmm.
And just all the balls in the air
Right.
that would have to
Yeah,
be.
my impression
managed.
on a lot of these is it is a friends organization that does a lot of that work outside of the town. Is that accurate? That
So
it's-
Lisa, it depends on who owns the bed,
Okay.
the abandoned rail bed. And so who owns it will dictate what you're allowed to do. In our particular, and this is something that's come up a lot when we talk to the public and people get, kind of angry about us as well. So-and-so did it over here for, it's all volunteer. Well, if the MBTA owns it, these are their requirements. And they have the lease with the
Yeah.
DCR, and the requirements flow to the DCR, and then they flow to the town. So you can't. That's one of the things I want to
Yeah, I was more
confirm
from
is-
just a fundraising and that sort of standpoint. It seems like a big piece of it should not, even if we were to do this, a big piece of it should not fall with the town. It should be with a friends group that does fundraising, that pushes the project forward. I don't necessarily, even if this were to go forward, think that,
The
the town
would
should be
would
picking up-
definitely be on the hook for certain things.
Yeah.
But you're right, you build a coalition and from
and
that
yeah,
you build
and
the trail. Yeah.
that's one way to prove that you really want this to go forward too, is you build up that momentum and you do
Yep.
it that way. You don't necessarily come to the town and say, wow, we think you should spend,
$3 million.
$3 million
Yeah.
for this. It needs to be an initiative that comes
Well,
from,
the DCR would look to the municipality to enter into an agreement with them. And they do put restrictions. Once you put in for your permit, after your 25% design, they will come back with contingencies. And some of it will be on the town. It's in the report. There's examples of the contingencies that is fairly consistent with anything that they've done, especially with the MBTA. You're dealing with government. I mean, that's part of it too.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mary, we're talking to government?
Yeah. That's why they give you letters.
Just wanna
Not that we
make sure
like it, but sometimes things are slow too.
That is
Here
kind
to
of
go.
sad, though. I mean, you do through all this work and you say, here, start, and then they come back and go, yeah, but, oh, I forgot, one more thing. And by then, depending upon the interest in the town, you have a bunch of those, and then here you go.
Mm.
Yeah, it's too bad.
It's like Mary said, you need somebody that knows how to write funding and knows the construction side of it. If you don't find, now that's gonna cost you money.
Right. And as you said,
It's crazy.
yeah, you're looking at crazy money.
Exactly.
Other towns have taken the path when there's been a lot of interest. They'll actually hire an engineering design firm. They call 10%. It's not required by the state. But for 30 or 40,000, they'll go out and they'll actually look at the bed. They'll come back with some good estimates on what it's going to take to actually build it. What are the costs? What are your constraints? What are the timelines? Belmont did one. Waltham was in the process of, so that's also a consideration.
And I think it's important, Lisa, as you note, that we're not saying slam the door on this thing, because the more early conversation you have, I mean, we engaged, we had the DCR expert here, Rogers got it on tape for us, the whole conversation we had the minutes attached to the report, so there's quite a bit to mine in this report so that we could go into it in a very intelligent way if there were, if there were the kinds of interests in town that wanted to do it. But I wouldn't even encourage people to do that until we see what happens to the east, because I think the odds are slim that we would be connecting on the west. So really, we would be the terminus from us to Waltham, and that's fundamentally what the best case I think that we would get to. So you're right. If people are really want to
then,
do this,
I mean,
okay.
but it would have to be a concerted effort.
Exactly.
of-
Yeah. And I do think that the coming back and saying, well, now you had to do this thing. I think with the amount of study that we did, that we can keep that to a minimum if we were to embark on it. So it's really a question of timing and alternatives with respect to town resources.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is that you guys have done a tremendous amount of legwork and have the information out there, so that if at some point someone says, hey, remember that rail trail thing? You can dust off the book and say, here's where we are, here's what we need to do, here's where we need to go forward. So you've got a great foundation.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh,
You should thank these three, because they did most of the work. I came on later, I wish I came on earlier, but these three did it.
It's better
They
late,
stuck it.
better late than never.
That's
I
right.
know.
Yeah.
the
Team.
The committee is so much more interesting with Tom.
We did have more laughs. Every meeting needs color.
Yeah.
We were getting pretty bored.
You played your part.
So please tell us what we want to do next with this thing. You've got.
I
the-
think it needs, I mean, obviously, I think Chris wants to.
I
go
want to
through
take
it
another
and,
look at it.
Okay.
Can we get back with you? We'll have Mary email you and let you know when
Okay.
you'd like to come back again.
But the goal would be to get it out there so that people can see it.
Right.
So that all of the questions and comments, there's an actual document they can go refer to. And,
Right.
And I think that's just really important because it has been, as you noted, a big issue in town. It sort of blew
Yeah.
up, and the quicker that information can get disseminated, I think, the better.
Well, it'd be interesting to see if there's any area within the report that you think needs to be expanded on, based on, just your perspective, your lens,
Right.
from a select person's standpoint.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's one thing we could talk about too, is when you come back, is do we want to expand on another portion of this? Where do we go, or do we go further with this?
Mhm.
I think that would be a good way to begin.
Yeah.
So, thank you all.
I'm free any Monday.
You can always come here,
I know.
Well, you'll have your chance then to,
Yes, we could use a little bit of the color in it, yeah.
I'd like to swap out being liaison on the personnel committee. Just saying.
Well, thank you so much
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
for all your hard work.
Oh, you're multitasking.
So how you feeling?
Yeah, how you doing, Mary?
My surgeon won't allow me. I was all set up
Really?
with a stationary bike set up right by my hospital bed, but he won't allow me to ride it until he sees me again.
Oh, really?
If he likes what he sees.
And everything went well?
Is it really well?
Good,
Yeah.
good.
It was a revision, so
Yep.
those things are really iffy, but option A worked.
Can you imagine
4.5
getting a recall
hours.
on a hip?
I've been watching those. Did you get a recall?
No, it's
Well,
a sister design by the same manufacturer. It was recalled in 2010. That's when I first said, uh-oh, I got an issue.
Recalled for what?
I-
Doesn't work?
Metal poisoning.
Really?
The wear parts inside the implant
Oh.
are made of an alloy of chromium and cobalt, and it wears a bit, and the metals get in your tissue and your blood, and it poisons you.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
No-
Dear God, it's like taking a medicine. You may sprout another head, you could die, but here, take this, because it'll cure you.
It's the modern form of. It's the
Yeah,
modern-
you'll start to glow. We won't need
modern-
lights on the rail trail. You can stand there. We can just move you up and down the trail.
I'm in a butter, just put the hip out. This is the Highland Street intersection.
There you go. Mm-hmm,
Yeah, it's the modern form of leeches and giving you mercury for your.
Oh, God. So we're
So,
glad that you're well.
I am delighted.
Super well.
Delighted.
Good.
Thank you for the good wishes, yeah.
Yes.
Nice to be out.
Thank you.
See you later.
Oh, I can't. Okay.
Right.
All righty.
We're on number 4.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we're on to FY19 Fuel Oil and Service Contract Award. Keith has recommended North Pearl Oil. I believe there was some
Supporting,
documents,
yeah.
supporting documents that were sent to you by email. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And this one's yours again.
Yay.
Just making sure there's...
Gonna need to request a new pen. Expense. Yeah, here. What a nice pen. Okay. Yep, yep.
So, then we have AMP Energy, the Joe Jenny Estoppel Certificate. Is there a short version, Mary, of how this was amended, or?
They omitted one of the many different contract amendments from the prior estoppel certificate. So this
Okay.
one is supposed to lasso them all together.
Alrighty. Is anybody prepared to make a motion?
This is the one that the lawyer saw, right?
What's that?
Well,
This
the
is the
lawyer
one-
saw it, but he also punted it back to this town to confirm that it's accurate.
So we're, by signing, we're
So
saying
it's-
it's accurate?
Correct.
All right. What's the other option?
Don't sign it.
Then this is
I
going
guess
to haunt us
my
forever?
feeling, yes, my feeling is at this point that the lawyer has seen it, that their lawyer has seen it.
Mhm.
That we should probably go forward with it,
If there was something major, I'm sure they would have said something.
yes.
Yeah. I agree. So are you making a motion?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Of course, it happens to be my signature they want this time.
Yep.
Can you zoom in on that, please,
Yes,
Mr. Bradley,
there.
that it's
So when
her
they come
signature?
and arrest you
Yeah,
for whatever
she's not
we've done
fudging
here.
somebody else's name.
It's all on you.
Here it comes the Zoom.
Margaret
Don't you
Stone.
dare. Don't. No. No.
All right. Let's see, special town meeting warrant. I don't know whether we want to vote, this is in a certain order here, but would you like to vote the particular date that was suggested first?
You usually would have a vote at the same time that you set the meeting, but you also open the warrant.
Right,
I didn't think that you wanted to do that tonight, otherwise I usually prepare a notice where you just read the whole thing off, and that's what's get posted everywhere.
okay,
But you still have a date in mind, I think, right?
yes.
Yeah,
And it
So
is
that's-
October 15th.
yeah.
Just one night?
And,
Yeah.
yes, please.
This isn't like spring, normally this one is.
Just asking.
Sure.
Right. And
Maybe
how
it's
long
7.
is the warrant usually open? Remind me.
It has to be in people's hands 14 days before. So basically, just say October 1st, right?
Right. So we'll go backwards. But how many weeks ahead of the
And then
town
you have to
meeting?
sign it at a meeting before that, before I could get it off to the printer. But before you would sign it, it would need to go to
As a
town council
lawyer,
for
yeah.
review.
Mhm.
And before that, you'd have a closure date on the warrant. So you would open it one meeting and you can close it the next meeting.
Yeah,
So, and that's maybe a good idea to do that anyhow. In this instance, there's been so much advanced talk of it anyhow. They're either mobilizing now to get whatever they might want in or not.
right.
And then, so you could open and close it. You can open it your next meeting and close it the next meeting thereafter, which is still gonna give people 2 weeks, right? Because you're meeting the 27th of August, and then meeting again, September
10th.
10th,
10th.
you know what I'm saying? So that's already 2 weeks anyhow.
Yeah.
If you wanna do that, I can
Does that
prepare
sound
for the
reasonable
next
to you
meeting.
all?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Why don't we plan on doing that?
Because it gives 9 weeks, 10 weeks from tonight.
Well, the
Yeah.
problem is that the traditional habit of allowing placeholders. You know, there's always this threat that when the warrant closes, we want your actual language in hand, and it's never in hand.
Well, it's not so bad, with special town meetings, but they do that.
Well, even the planning boards notice that they're gonna be working on
Yeah,
zoning
that's true.
language, they may not have it in hand by then.
Right,
So it hampers town council review when they don't have language in hand to actually review.
well, I've been reminded that the warrant that they're probably going to submit will need
Article.
review by
Yeah,
council,
It will,
so,
yeah, it will.
okay.
Maybe pre-authorize them to work with town council.
Motion to pre-authorize planning to work with town council on the language for whatever they put forth for the
I would
special town
imagine
meeting.
it's the zoning.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
can you repeat that so I can second it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I get it.
So-
So 5 o'clock this morning,
Yeah.
people, 5 o'clock this morning.
Seconded. You're all good. Seconded.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
And so one of the other things I had put down here is other potential articles, which you've done a good job of keeping them on this list, Mary. I just wanted to ask you ladies whether there was anything else from what we've been working on. We did talk about the bylaw for dirt,
Yes.
the cease and desist, and the, not the,
I think cease and desist doesn't need to be bylaw.
no, it doesn't. The like-kind soil
It
bylaw.
needs to be bylaw, yeah.
But I didn't know whether there were anything else, any other bylaws that needed to go to town meeting that we've been working on.
I believe that's the main one.
Yeah, that is
Do
the
you
main
want to
one.
tinker with personnel bylaw? Or do you want to wait
Oh,
on
no.
that till annual?
Let's let the
Yeah.
personnel committee add that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was I think, mention of, when we looked at the Berlin Playground, the surplus disposal bylaw that could be updated. I believe the bylaw states $5,000 and most likely should be updated to 10.
And what would that do?
Just updated, I think it's probably from like the 80s or something, or 90s. But, we could always take a look at these things as
I think it
time
was just a policy.
goes
I
on.
didn't think that was an actual
Not a
bylaw.
Oh, I thought it was a bylaw. Maybe
The
I'm wrong.
5,000 figure that we just touched was
I
about
have-
debt forgiveness.
Yeah, there's a couple of different 5,000s, like 5,000 for assets on the books.
Yep.
Has to be recorded, but that's not a bylaw.
Okay.
Well, we can look and see if it's a bylaw and then.
But I just wanted to bring that up in case there was something that we might want to put on this special town meeting warrant. Alrighty. Alright, so, I don't know if you guys have seen the list of the potential articles, so I don't really
Yeah.
need to go over that right
I think
now.
that was what I had on my list in my head, so.
We're still waiting on Amy's take on the like-kind soil,
Okay.
I believe. But we could poke her.
And she was working directly with Joe,
Joe.
wasn't she?
Mhm.
So she may be,
Yes, I'm not sure.
I thought she was working directly with him, so she may have, and with him out.
Right,
It's
right,
probably
right.
delayed for that reason.
Okay. Well, then we can move on to the screening committee updates.
Yeah.
For highway superintendent, we have interviewed 2 candidates. Went pretty well. I think we still have 2 more meetings with 2 each to interview. And I am hoping that, I believe the last interview meeting is on the 10th, and I was hoping that they could put together their recommendation and maybe send it to us by email, and was sort of hoping that by the 20th, when you get back, we could have interviews set up and ready to go, and just have that meeting for interviews. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Okay, great. Then we can post that meeting at some point once we hear from the screening committee. Yeah, how about the Council on Aging Director?
They had their first meeting last Wednesday, went through the resumes, chose 3 candidates. I think they'll probably have to expand that a little bit, but they have at least 1 interview set up, I think, for this Wednesday.
Okay.
So it's moving forth. There were, I think, 17 applications. I think we're probably gonna run into some hitches with the salary and losing some. We lost one of the initial ones already to a salary's too low.
Yeah.
So
We lost a few from highway too with
Yeah.
our salary, but
that's what it is.
yeah.
But yeah, they're moving forward, so,
Okay. And you wanted to talk about
yeah.
the office space.
Yes, I would
for
like
the-
to, yes, I would like to be able to tell the screening committee that when folks come in for their interviews, they can tell them that they're not gonna be put in a broom closet in the basement, which is where the current COA office is, which I just found out the other day. So I'd like them to either, I talked to Joe Achu, there are 3 desks that aren't being used in there, or we could put them maybe down in the finance room, or just someplace where there might be people and windows, as
Okay.
opposed to down in the.
I need to go take a walk
closet.
down there, I guess, and
Yeah, I'm
haven't
not
done
sure,
that
it
for
may
a
be
while.
locked.
I have a
Okay.
key to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, but it's small and there's no windows, and I don't think it would be a really great place to come work.
And is
You
it?
don't want that to be your impression of what this
And-
office is gonna
Well,
be.
it's also too, if something were to happen down there, you could like die down there and be down there for a week and nobody would know.
Well, let's not think about that.
Could you rewind that part of the tape, please, and just,
No, we.
I'm taking this directly from somebody who's working out there now, so I'm just repeating.
Yeah. Okay, then. Well, we can look into that.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome, thank you. I will let the screening committee know that they can just say, yes, well, we will put you up here somewhere rather than,
I'm sure we can figure something out.
great.
All right. Town Facebook policy.
Okay,
And you had given us one to look at from Franklin,
yeah,
and I had no issue with it. How about you?
yeah.
no, I'm
Okay.
fine.
It
As
wasn't-
long as we're fair and balanced.
Yeah,
Like
and I'm still,
Fox.
like I said, I'm not sure what the committee is going to do. I just wanted to let you know that in general, that this is kind of what a policy looks like.
Yeah.
And really, Facebook pages for towns are strictly for posts directly from the town. And they
Mhm.
tend to be very bland and very factual because they shouldn't be, you know,
Political.
controversial or political at all.
Okay. I mean, I really, do you want to put this in a format for Berlin, or what is your
Um,
suggestion?
Well, I think the IT committee is working on this.
Oh, okay.
They just aren't there yet. And
Oh,
we
all
had
right.
had an issue with
Yep.
political coming into our Facebook page, and I kind of wanted to head that off so that even in the meantime, when they're working on it, we don't do that.
Okay. I had no idea IT was doing that.
Yeah,
Great.
that's part of their task is to work on, social media policy and computer policies, because they haven't been touched really since, our IT policies haven't been touched since social media came into being.
Okay.
What we have is the original.
I think it references Blackberries.
Oh, it could. No, it's the original.
So, yeah,
Their
it's,
policy is the
so,
original
yes, one of their tasks was to look at that and update it
Okay.
to kind of modern technology a little bit.
What else are they working on right now?
They are
While we're
working on
talking
the
about it.
website.
Okay.
They have, I don't know for sure if we have signed the contract yet, but I think we may have signed the contract with Virtual Towns and Schools. And the next step was to choose sort of what template for the town.
Yeah, I do have difficulty. I was telling Mary today on the phone, I do have difficulty navigating our website. And I don't know if it's because it's, if it's on my phone or my iPad instead of a desktop, or if it's just, I have difficulty with it.
Yeah, it's stylistically dated, so it's not going to be what you're used to navigating now is part of the problem, and then just the information is not. I always look at it. It seems to me it's sort of focused internally. You kind of have to know and work in town government to find the things that you need. And really, our town website should be focused externally for a customer service sort of base. It's not that the information can't be there for folks internally, but really, the website is to help so that people here don't have to answer all the questions, that we can send people to the website and say, hey, look, the things that you need to find are right here and they're easy to access.
Yeah.
So if you need to find out how to get a transfer station sticker or that sort of thing, which is one thing that people want to find out all the time, you know how to find it without drilling down into Board of
Yeah,
Health
we can't
and
even find
first of all
stuff.
having to know that it's under Board of Health,
Right.
you know, or even
They may not.
town bylaws. I had a horrible time finding town bylaws because it didn't like click in my head automatically that they'd be under the town clerk.
Yep.
New
So-
employee packages
New
are in
employee
two different
packages,
spots.
right? So
Yeah.
really, it needs to the information needs to be reordered so that the things that you need a lot.
So even the selectmen can find it.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
Those would be the big things I think right now that they're working.
Okay. Good. All right, I'm losing track of my folder here again.
Well, there's nothing in here for this 10, but.
Okay.
Earthwork board.
All right, I had that on here just to see.
Yes.
We have, you and I have had just a short discussion on the fact that it would be nice if someone who knew the business of earthworks would be on the earthworks board. All we can go by is the bylaw. So I don't know whether we need to perhaps choose what sort of people we want on the committee as far as background and that kind of thing, or?
I think Joe had some suggestions about that. He had asked about whether we wanted at least the bylaw that they were adjusting to be flexible enough so that we could do that, because right now
Yeah.
it's like right in the bylaw.
Yeah, it
that's
says that the
board's job.
selectmen are
So
the earthworks
I think he was
board.
gonna adjust that, and I think he might have some suggestions for us as to who.
Okay.
I would assume, you know, maybe he might be a good choice, and maybe somebody from zoning, or I
Would
don't
you
know.
like to follow up with Joe and
Yeah.
just see what suggestions he might have, if it's, employees that are here in the building, if it's...
What are other towns doing?
Yeah, I mean, that
Yeah.
might be something we could look at too.
Yeah, and I think they do. They get professionals
collection, yeah.
who actually know.
Well, you have to,
Dirt,
because you
yeah.
need someone with the inside skinny, so there's another outside person who doesn't come along and sit and go, haha, watch this.
And then we can put that on a future agenda.
Yeah, we would have to wait until after special town meeting to actually do anything with that,
Right,
because of the way that bylaw is written.
right. Okay. This was about that. All right, we're on to town officers meeting. And we had gotten some feedback. Are there multiples in here or no?
Could be. Put that together weeks ago.
Oh, no, that's the performance appraisal, never
No,
mind.
do you want the feedback? I can.
No. I think these ladies probably already read the
It
feedback.
has not changed since
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Is there anything you'd like to discuss? I mean, have we chosen a discussion subject for this and a date?
No
No-
date.
no date.
I know one of the items that we had talked about was to do an overview of the budget, and I'll title it, How Not to Blow Your Budget. Well, I mean, it helps you. I mean, policies are changing and updating, and you need stuff.
The only thing is that I did send out an email to finance to
Yep.
try to get some dates from them, and I heard nothing back.
Okay.
And our budget package, the whole, which normally goes out in November,
Yep.
if we were gonna do something, it's kinda nice if we had real stuff.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, yeah, I don't wanna waste
Or-
people's time, I wanna give them very specific, this is due when you turn in you need cause if you
Right.
don't, then,
Right.
you
I
know,
think
check
I owe
in,
you
look.
the July 23rd meeting minutes, but you'd already narrowed this down, that you wanted to have a town meeting to talk about the performance evaluation forms and the budget process.
Correct, those were the two, and so I don't know, I
Oh.
thought the town administrator snuck in somehow,
It
but
did.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, they
Okay,
would
so those were
really-
the three,
But it would have to be before town meeting to be useful for them so that they can.
correct,
Answer any questions or.
yep, so there's your three items, we
So
just
to
don't
have
have a
them
date.
in to discuss it?
They were hoping to use the officers' meeting, to answer any questions.
Present or answer questions, okay.
On the special act.
Okay, yep.
I mean, how long would you envision that taking? You don't want it to be too short, where it's not effective, or too long, where people are wondering what they're having for lunch, so,
The next day.
Well, back it up from the town meeting, if you actually wanted language that went through town council for review before the town, it has to be in everyone's hands 2 weeks before, which is October 1st. You need to have one in pretty much right after Labor Day, to have a town officers meeting where you have feedback that the committee can look at it and the selectmen can look at it.
so you're looking at the 9th or the 10th, and the 10th we have a meeting, which is a Tuesday, correct?
Town officers meetings usually happen on Thursdays.
Right, but I'm saying if you looked at our schedule,
Mhm.
we have a meeting on the 10th.
Mhm.
Oh, it's Monday. Silly. So we'd have to have it
13.
somewhere, yeah, the 13th, that Thursday. So
Are you
that,
prepared to do some presentation yourself on some of this stuff?
oh, Lord, yeah. 1,
Alrighty.
2, 3, 4, 5. So you're talking 5 weeks from now, ish. 6.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do it before Labor Day.
No, no, because you're still in heavy vacation mode. You're going to be missing people. So,
Yeah.
in the week of Labor Day, it's going to be a short week. School's going to be all funky. People are settling back in. So it would have to be the week of the 10th. So that Thursday, the 13th. Just by process of elimination. Because then that gives people a couple weeks to look, either go back to pull finance in, go back to get the reviews, which leaves plenty of time. The town administrator people, things will probably be a little bit settled. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.5 weeks before the
That's 4 weeks
special
before
town
town
meeting.
meeting itself, but it has to be in people's hands 2 weeks before town meeting.
Yeah,
So,
So is the 13th better than the 20th?
oh, the 20th is way too late.
yeah,
Okay.
you'd have to go the 13th,
13th is late, but probably as late as you could do it.
correct.
Okay.
All right, let's put a stake in the ground, September 13th.
Okay.
7 o'clock usually.
Yep. Is that good for everybody?
Sure. June, I'll take your email because it's still sitting unread in my, well, I read it and then I marked it back as unread so I could find it. And I'll whiz it back over to the finance people and see if we can get a little, now that we have some information, maybe.
I mean, we don't have to have it finalized, but a tentative, I mean, we could just do it as not as a guesstimate, but to say, okay, for the months of, I don't know, November and December, the finance committee's gonna be doing this, they'll be
Right.
meeting with you by here. I mean, so we could plug in some stuff,
Okay.
but the more dates that we have
Yes.
to be able to say to people, okay, all of your reviews have to be done by October 1st.
Yep.
You know, they have to be, your budgets have to be submitted by a certain date to your department head, they have to be signed on. So, I mean, we could do a couple of different things, so maybe a half
Some
an hour,
generalities, okay.
20 minutes, half an hour, just to, and then if the people have questions or,
Okay.
because I mean, there's no sense on us doing a whole bunch of stuff if we don't have finance committee backing too.
No.
So,
Well, I would assume at that, we'll give them a poke, you know. They need to
Buzz-
send.
usually we
Buzz
don't
was on
hear-
vacation.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, usually we don't hear from them now
Yeah.
until almost budget time, which unfortunately, that's not. when
Everybody
fall
reads
starts.
email though, so,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
okay.
we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, because I mean, the TA portion of it is, it's just gonna be a summary from that
Right.
group. The review, which we're gonna chug on next, may have some little tweaks to it, just some overall questions. So really, the big push is gonna be the how not to blow your budget section and what you need. Okay. All right.
Okay, then. We're good with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Then we're moving on to, as acting personnel committee, our performance evaluation form approval.
So I'd sent out a smushed down version.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's lengthy only because there's a page in there that talks to you about the ratings, and there's a page in there that talks about the areas that you're being numbered on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a page or two in there about your goals. So if you took all that out, it's not really all that long. And plus, to Lisa's point from a while ago, we added spaces so you could add comment. You couldn't write a comment on one line.
Right.
So if you're giving a person a insert number here, you're gonna wanna define it, whether it's a 1, a 2, all the way up to 5. So truly, it's not that bad, and I think if you look at it in that way, and it can even be reformatted again, just to say, here's your ratings, here's what you're gonna be rated on, you know, here's your 6-month, well, I think I took the 6-month review out, because we don't need it just yet, and then here's your questions, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm. You have any
Yeah.
feedback?
I think that you test it under fire, and then if we need to tweak it, we tweak it.
Agreed. We just go, we can't, you
We could spend forever.
We could tinker forever.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
If people hate it, we will know.
Oh, I'm sure we
Final
will.
They will
comments
tell
that come
us.
back with reviews.
What Selectmen? Put
I don't think- yeah. Well, I don't think we have a lot of shy employees, so yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, you know what, it'll be different, and I think that's what's gonna make people nervous. The first year, it's, oh my God, now you're gonna make me accountable. I just can't say Sally's a 5, now I have to justify why she's a 5. And if she's a 5, then if you're going for goals, what are her goals? Where is she gonna go? Oh, I didn't really think about that. So, yeah, first one's gonna be bumpy, but you know what?
Gives you some time to think about it.
Agreed.
You guys have been asking for that, though. I think.
I think it'll actually help a little bit.
I do.
In some
Yep.
areas, it will help.
Yeah.
Change is good.
It can be, depends on
Yeah.
how you look at it.
That is correct. It's done for the benefit. I mean, and if,
Work with it, that's all.
well, that's just it. You know, the time you spend complaining, it's done. And the thing is too, is that if people are looking for career growth and if they're looking for additional skills, well, this is an opportunity for us to go back to finance and say, hey, can you set aside, insert X amount of dollars here, because we need to grow, to do, so she can, therefore, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I think I put the smushed one in the package,
Smushed.
right?
I think I
Is
have
that
one.
it? It has
Yep.
numbers on the bottom of it now, I don't know. Page
Oh.
numbers. I'm not sure.
Oh, all right. Well, the only thing I had noticed was a typo, so you're good.
You are like the queen of typos.
You don't
Where
even
was?
have to review
I know.
because she'll do it for you.
And I went through it.
It's
Where-
awesome.
All right, where's the typo?
I never look for typos in the
You're
minutes
killing me.
anymore. I just let.
You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. Rumleys. 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 Rumleys.
Employees instead of employees.
Okay, I got it.
That's, I mean, hey,
So what was she actually thinking when she wrote that statement?
employees.
Exactly.
So do you want me to give this to Mary?
No, let
You
me,
correct it?
yeah, I'm gonna
All right,
correct
I'll give you
it.
mine.
Gee, thanks.
Is it just that correction, or is there more that you need to work on, Peg? Because
I want to reformat it because when I as to Lisa's point, when I look at it, I tinker with it, and when I look at it again, I tinker it again. So I'm gonna tinker with it one more time and move it around and put in some explanations and be done, and I'll send it to you. So if you could just make sure that my formatting is awesomeness, then we'll be good.
Are you approving it tonight? 'Cause
Do you
at the
want-
end,
do
I
you
put
want
the
us to
approval
approve it?
date of it.
Yeah, because I won't change anything,
Okay.
I'll just
Reformat.
Format?
Space.
jiggle
Okay.
It's
and
fine.
take out the umlays.
Motion to
Employees.
approve the
Okay.
employee review.
I'll second it.
Do I hear a vote?
Well, I think that's still my line.
Oh. Wow.
All right, we'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye. Okay,
Woohoo.
Mary, I'll work on this, I'll get it back to you for
Okay.
formatting
And I'll send it
purposes.
to everybody with the town officers meeting invite.
Yep.
All right. Any new business?
I have one, in regard to a hardship application form. There actually was an individual that filled it out. So it looks like all the paperwork is here that needs to be here, so I'm just not sure of next steps that we need to do with this.
We haven't done this yet, so.
I know.
It just says on there to return it to,
Um,
Probably the board office, right? Or
yeah,
Selectmen's office, or
I'm looking.
not the fire chief.
Was it coastal? I mean, coastal?
Hmm?
They were supposed to forward
It's our-
it
it's our-
back here?
It got hand delivered.
No, I mean, does it go to coastal? You're
Well,
asking.
originally, I think it said something about going to coastal. I
Okay.
can't remember if it was just because they do the billing, and then it came back here. I think it was to the selectmen if it was over a certain dollar amount.
Okay.
do we want to consult with the fire chief on what the intent was here, or I don't know.
We can, I think it's actually in the new bylaw,
Okay.
or the policy.
The
that-
policy,
that
okay.
he just
Maybe Mary might be
Yeah.
looking it up here.
Okay. And while you're reading, there was some other.
Forward to the town.
No, to the
Just forward to the
That's-
town.
That's very,
That's
generic.
vague.
yeah.
I thought
Who
there was
approved
a
that
section-
bylaw?
No, I thought there was a section that
Or
actually
that
said.
It's a
policy.
policy. It's a policy. Maybe we should specify that in some way.
Mm. Do we need to take action on this evening, or?
I don't think so. I mean, I think now that the
It's- yeah.
paperwork is here, we just need to figure out next steps, and
Okay.
Okay.
I can get back to the individual,
Over
and
500, the selectmen shall determine.
so that's us.
Okay.
So it's gonna be.
What's the
It's in.
what's the bill for?
Right, well, the bill is for the ambulance, so there's the total request.
At a public meeting.
If
Abatement
it's
shall
over-
be accepted by the Board of Selectmen at a public meeting, and such approval shall be reflected in the minutes. And also annually report to town meeting, whatever hardships you approve.
So, what did she say? Over $1,000?
500,
Over 500. All right.
Otherwise, Chief Z could do it, right?
if it's under
If
5,
it's under
correct.
5.
All right. Well, I'm guessing that you all might like to look at this information, so
Yeah.
how about we put this on the next agenda,
Agreed,
okay?
but at least we have it,
Yep.
we can figure out what to do with it, okay.
All right.
It'll be easier next time.
Yes.
First one's always hard.
I'm gonna set this right here. Do you want to run off or
Was that,
scan in?
that was hand filed?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it was hand
Yeah,
delivered
then I should
tonight.
keep a record of it, I would think.
Yes. I'm just
It's
saying,
gonna be a
Scan.
public record, the
can
name
you
would
scan
be a
it in
public
and
record.
send them?
Yes, to
well,
everybody.
At least to
I would
Lisa
say
and
some
I.
of it's public, some of it is not.
Yeah, it's gonna
Right.
be HIPAA on
Oh,
some of it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, not like any other abatement, I suppose not.
Not all abatements are public either.
Oh, okay.
because it's
All right.
personal information.
Yep.
I'm just gonna, do you want me to put it in this folder?
No, why don't I hold on to it so
All right.
it doesn't go anywhere?
Do you want the envelope that came in?
Sure, thank you.
All right. Any other new business?
There were some concerns that were raised to me over the weekend. While out for coffee at the Red Barn, regarding how people at the dump are throwing in recycles into the trash because, well, no one wants to bother taking the bag and dumping it in and then taking the bag and throw it out. So there's been a request to have clear bags. And then there's a concern about the amount of money that we're spending to get rid of recyclables. So I had an opportunity to speak with Board of Health peeps, a couple of them, and they gave me their input. So what was suggested to me is that I go back to the individual and thank them very much for sharing their concerns, and the town obviously is working on it. But if they have any additional information and they have a potential solution to put a proposal together, and they would be very happy to review it.
But that's the Board of Health, that's not the Select
That is
Board.
correct. But just in case, but since it came to me,
Mhm.
I wanted to share, but yeah, it will go back to the Board of Health.
Okay,
That's all I got.
that sounds good. You did a good job.
Thank you. No more coffee out.
Anything else?
No, we went over all my stuff in the agenda.
Okay. New business, old business, I don't think so. Selectmen liaison updates, is there anything further?
No, I mean, I have some information from Chief Z on different questions that I'd asked him, which is fine, so I'll go forward and reach out to, was it Badge Quest? I think the name of it is it Badge Quest? And just try to get some preliminary information from them.
All right, is that okay with you? All right,
Cool.
then we have need for just a very short executive session. Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property because the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body. 58 South Street and River Road West.
And you will not return to open session.
And we will not return to open session except to adjourn.
Do we need to vote?
We do.
Waisaki, aye.
Keefe, aye.
Stone, aye.
All right.